Thank you everyone for being here. My name's Tiara and I'm the Universal Pre-K Director for the City of Boston. This is such an exciting time. It's so much easier to talk to 4-year-olds, but I'm going to do my very best job today talking to all of the experts that have joined us. For years, community-based organizations and Boston Public Schools have worked together to serve children across the city. Today, we solidify our partnership with the Mayor's commitment to a mixed delivery system. Today, we are focused on quality, and when we say quality, we mean that all educators come together to learn from each other. It means that we continue to not only meet but exceed quality standards under NACE and QRIS. It means that our community-based organizations, the teachers there, are paid the same commensurate salary as they are in BPS. And most importantly, it means that we keep a consistent pulse on what our family and children need. This has been a long time coming. We started with Boston Kids, who made a mixed delivery system a possibility. And then we moved to our preschool expansion grant, where we were able to deepen our partnership. And today, thanks to the mayor, we're able to invest in all of our 4-year-olds across Boston. I feel so honored to be a part of this work, and I'm super excited to see where we go. It really, truly does take a village, and there is no way to thank all of the invested stakeholders that have got us to this point. Throughout our agenda, we're going to make sure that we highlight a few people, but I do just want to take a moment to say that while we may not say you by name, we appreciate all of your hard work and dedication. You have and will continue to be the voice of our quality pre-K work. We'll first hear from Sharon Scott Chandler, the Vice President for ABCD. Sharon and her team are one of the many community-based partners that have helped us create a bridge between our community-based agencies and Boston Public Schools. It's organizations like ABCD, the Boys and Girls Club of Dorchester, Nurtury, and YMCA who keep us abreast of what our families and our educators need. They are consistent advisors and advocates in the design of our mixed delivery system. They help us think about additional comprehensive service needs and how to transition our families from one education setting to the next. While we welcome Sharon up, I want to thank her team again for hosting and appreciate again your support in our work. Sharon?
Not great having a... Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to ABCD. We would like to thank the mayor for his longtime leadership in supporting Boston's young children and their families. And we appreciate you, Mr. Mayor, and the superintendent and all the elected officials and other administration officials that are here to celebrate this moment. Your commitment and demonstration for high-quality early learning is outstanding. And ABCD has been proud to be a partner on so many levels with the city. And in fact, this spring, we'll be hoping to celebrate the opening of a new early learning Head Start Center down the street at Savin Street in collaboration with the city and the Robert White Trust Fund, George Robert White Trust Fund. In early education, our history of partnership with BPS dates back to when I came to ABCD 20 years ago with the 0 to 8 Coalition, Countdown to Kindergarten, special education transition supports. Wow, we have come a long way. Many of you here today were part of all of that and building all of that. And as Tiara mentioned, most recently, through the preschool expansion grant, federally funded, and through the Massachusetts Department of Early Education and Care, BPS, ABCD, and other community-based organizations were able to pilot key components of high-quality universal pre-K program. The UPK partnership is a win-win for families, for community-based programs, and BPS because it allows us to build again off of our efforts and bring together the strengths of public school systems as well as community-based programs in order to give the city's youngest students their best chance for success in life. The initiative emphasizes critical aspects of high quality, higher salaries, enhanced curriculum, comprehensive services to families, and rigorous ongoing professional development. It provides more options to families who cannot utilize a traditional 6.5-hour, 10-month of the year school program because their jobs and family circumstances. They may need longer hours and a full year experience with the high-quality UPK embedded within the community-based early care and education setting. UPK promotes a seamless alignment and delivery of services birth through 5, the most critical stage of a child's life, and it's key to the best preparation for kindergarten. So we, and I guess I can speak for all the community-based organizations, are excited to enter this next chapter of partnership under the Universal Pre-K, and I thank you all for coming. Before I turn it over to John Drew, who will introduce our mayor, I do want to, as Tiara said, mention a couple of people at ABCD's Head Start program. Our Vice President, Yvette Rodriguez, who helps us run all of our early childhood programs across the city. Our Walnut Grove Program Director, Gail Smith, who is here hosting us. Thank you again. Alkita, other staff, and families alike. Thank you. I'd like to bring up John Drew, who needs no introduction since he's been here for 50 years, but I will say he pushes us to innovate and lead us all at ABCD to make a difference in people's lives.
Good morning. Beautiful day. I have been waiting for this day for a long time. I was a Head Start parent almost 50 years ago. We all have been striving since that day to bring together the elements that will allow us together to close the gap, to close the difference in abilities of children who are nurtured. So I thank and welcome everybody to our Head Start Center, to our campus. I want to thank in advance the mayor and all the city councilors, and God help us, everybody who's here today. I thought I was coming to a little step-off ceremony, but I think it's wonderful. But we partner with the city. We are an integral part of this city. On our board is city councilors and members of this community. We work with the EITC right now. We're doing taxes with the city. We're doing summer jobs. We're doing workforce and building trades. Osterguy High School is part of the system. Schools for children who need to come back in from substance abuse. We do elder services, a lot of other things. This is another way in which ABCD is so proud to collaborate, particularly with this marvelous administration that the Mayor Walsh has brought to the city through his leadership. The city councilors are here, all the other folks are all here for one purpose, which is to make sure that our children who start, sometimes they do start 50 yards behind the starting line. And for me, a victory is at the finish line, be that first grade or whatever, they are right there at the finish line, tied or winning. They catch up, they do well, and they'll thrive as well as their families. Thank you. Please, our mayor, Marty Walsh.
Thank you very much, John. It is exciting to be here today. I want to thank ABCD for hosting us today and being part of our advisory committee. Sharon, thank you very much for your work. Tiara, thank you for what you have done. And I know, Tiara, we were talking about being excited earlier. Superintendent Laura Perille, thank you, Laura, as well. Laura was part of this work before she became the superintendent. I want to thank President Andrea Campbell, who's here with us from the Boston City Council. We're partners in this, and we're talking about, today we're talking about expansion of education for our kids. We're not caught up in some of the conversations we've been having over budgets over the last couple of years. This is about really changing the game for young people in education. So I want to thank the City Council, who's a strong partner, councilors who are a strong partner in this. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Jerry Robinson and Jason Sachs, the co-chair of the UPK Advisory Committee. Back, I've told the story a million times, back in 2013 when I was running for mayor, I sat down with Jerry and we were talking about the importance of the development of a young child's brain and the importance of them and the lack of, in some cases, young people being read to and getting enough words heard in their life at the age of 0 to 4. We talked about the importance of universal pre-kindergarten. We made it one of the cornerstones of the campaign. And after we got elected, we started talking about how do we make this a reality. Jerry and Jason are co-chairs. But I also have to give a special shout out to Ron Dorsey, our first Chief of Education for the City of Boston. Here's Ron. Ron took this issue on, and there was 2 ways of doing it. One was the New York model that went to the legislature and got the money and tried to figure it out afterwards. And our model was, well, how do we do it? Will we make it fair across the board? So not just our schools benefit from it, but our community providers benefit from it. And we took the time and thousands of hours of meetings, sitting down with the advisory boards and talking about how do we make this happen? How do we make the disparity between pay in the public side work with the disparity of pay in the nonprofit side? How do we deal with the idea of space? How do we create a curriculum that's important? And what came out of it was high quality pre-kindergarten. It's not just a pre-kindergarten program. And all of these conversations, many of the people behind me were very instrumental in those conversations, and I want to thank everyone. We may not mention you by name today, but we truly appreciate all that you've done. I want to thank all the parents and the teachers and the students who are with us today as well. So congratulations to everyone that's here that was part of this. In the last 5 years, we've added 750 pre-kindergarten seats, our high quality and proven to close the achievement gap. In every budget year, we usually rolled out a couple more hundred, and we talked about more programming. Now we're going to be investing $15 million in our quality pre-kindergarten fund. It's going to help us create an additional 750 high-quality seats in BPS within community-based organizations, and it will allow us to achieve our goal of universal pre-kindergarten for every four-year-old in our city. And the timeline for doing this is over the next 5 years. And when people say, well, why can't we do it tomorrow? Because it's not a simple way to start to roll this plan out. We're going to be working with the nonprofits. We're going to be looking at our space through our Build BPS plan and reassessing our space. And we're going to be pushing to get it done before 5 years. And the people behind me are like, oh no, but we're going to do that. But it's also important for us to make sure that as we continue to roll this out, we roll it out right. Because every parent that signs up deserves to make sure that their young people get a real good, strong start in education. We need to make sure that Boston is a place where every young person can succeed and start at the very beginning. The moment a child is born, they need high-quality resources and a safe place to call home. When they set foot in a classroom, we need to make sure that they have a strong foundation that's going to set them on a pathway to success. And if you look at all of the studies, they all say that. Every study that you look at about pre-kindergarten and the success rate of the young people as they get older, what it does for them, this is a game changer. As I mentioned earlier, this is a game changer for the young people of our city. We must make sure that every single child from every single neighborhood and every single background can get a strong start in life. We need to make sure that this access to pre-kindergarten is a guarantee for every single family in Boston, regardless of your income or your background. Boston's approach to universal pre-kindergarten is a national model in early childhood education. We have proven success in closing our achievement gaps, but we have more work to do. We know that. We saw a few weeks ago in the study about valedictorians and the success rate. This changes that. This is a component that changes that. An investment on the front end will give young people success on the back end, something that is so important for us to do. Our teachers are trained to support students of all cultural backgrounds. They encourage critical and creative thinking, and they put the needs of our students first. Today is World Autism Day. It's a good reminder that we must make sure that all of our children of all abilities can reach their fullest potential. That commitment is driving our high-quality pre-kindergarten programs. And the lessons our children learn don't just stay in the classroom. They have lasting impacts from kindergarten to college to life. So every year we've been working to expand, as I mentioned earlier, the success of the approach with the goals of reaching every single 4-year-old in our city. When I took office, we were facing a gap of about 1,500 high-quality seats. And the important piece there is high-quality seats. Ensuring equal access to high-quality pre-kindergarten became one of our administration's top priority, along with the City Council. We couldn't have done it without the partnerships and the dedication of educators, partners, organizations, and many more, including many people that are here today. One of our first steps was to create a UPK advisory committee. Jerry Robinson and Jason were the co-chairs. Michael Conto, who's the chair of our school committee, I don't think I mentioned him already, but he also is on the committee as well. The committee gathered input from families, educators, and stakeholders. Their recommendations have been our guiding light in how we've been taking the steps to expand access to high-quality pre-K. We've invested in new pre-K seats every single year since 2014. Despite the constraints in our budget and availability of classroom space, we're going to continue to make those advancements. In our most recent budget, the one that we're going to launch next week, $850,000 is going to be in there to develop 80 pre-kindergarten seats together with community partners, which means that some of these seats will be in our Boys and Girls Club, some of our seats will be ABCD, some of these seats will be at different places, and we're working to make sure that they get the benefit of this plan as well. We've learned that community-based organizations are central to our UPK strategy. The first meetings that we had in the Eagle Room, it was the community-based organizations that stepped up and said, wait a second, we've been doing this for a long time and we want to be able to continue to do this. So we said, well, we have to be a partner with this. And that's how that all began. We want to make sure that we're building something to last and truly serve our communities. And today we're providing more options for working families right in their own neighborhoods. And that's another important aspect. We also appointed our first UPK director, Tiara Diaz. Thank you, Tiara, for this. This work that Tiara's been doing is important work. It's about collaborations and building collaborations between schools, community programs, and city partners. It's not easy work, but it's necessary work to make sure that we have the best opportunity for our young people. She's helping make sure that not only early learning programs are consistent from our classroom to BPS, but also to our community providers. We're also going to continue to create and build strong partnerships to help train our K-1 educators. United Way and UMass Boston has teamed up to offer great leadership courses for pre-K instructors. So it truly is a community of organizations coming together. This year, Boston Children's Hospital is funding a need assessments for our pre-K programs. It will look at our landscape for our healthy and family supports for our young people and make sure that our classrooms have the access to wraparound services, something that is so important about moving forward. Because of our work over the last 6 years, our initial gap of 1,500 seats have been cut in half. And now our new funds will help us close the remaining gap and achieve universal pre-kindergarten in the city of Boston. So whether the federal government cuts back on education and don't show their commitment like they're not showing right now, or we can't get that commitment from the state, which like we've tried to do the last couple of years, Boston will make sure that we won't forget and won't leave behind our 4-year-olds in the city of Boston in the education. And we'll be a model for any other city and town in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that want to institute universal pre-kindergarten. We're saying, come to us, sit with us, and we will help you on how you do this. I want to stress again, this isn't just about making seats available, because if that was the case, we would have already had universal pre-kindergarten in the city of Boston. It's about ensuring that every single pre-K seat we offer is a high-quality one that closes opportunity and outcomes and the gaps that we see. It gives our children an equal chance at a strong life. Our work isn't done. We're going to continue to develop our programs and pay attention to the needs of our young people and our students. And they're getting our attention right now. We're going to continue to seek partnerships to help us make these programs even stronger. And at a time that we make an investment in a young person, it's always important to understand that's a step forward for our city. And investments in our young people are worth making. I just want to say one more special thank you to a gentleman that's here. In 2014, when we were running for mayor, we were talking about creating, there was a lot of tension between charter schools and nonprofits and public education, and there was a lot of talk back in the day about, you know, public versus charter schools. And one of the things we did was we created the Education Cabinet. And the Education Cabinet wasn't created to keep an eye on the Boston Public School Superintendent. It was to add to that role and help that person, whoever the superintendent is, to have somebody in the city that can help with relationships, whether it's at college, universities, whether it's partnerships with charter schools, private parochial schools. And one of the first tasks that Ron Dorsey took on was universal pre-kindergarten. And I have to tell you, for the entire time he was here, which is almost 5 years, that was his main focus. And we thought of different ways of injecting, how do we make this happen, make this a reality. And I remember one of the first meetings after Ron sat with some of the providers, he came into me and he talked about universal pre-kindergarten. I was thinking of creating classrooms in the schools we have. And he started to introduce this concept to me of high quality. And we started talking about high quality, and what he said was, it's not about having a seat for a young person to be educated in. It's about making sure that that seat is a high quality seat, that the teacher and the aides in that classroom are trained, that we have the support services to help the families. And that's really what we're launching today. And I just want to give a special shout out to Ron Dorsey, who left us earlier this year. I'm trying to guilt him a little bit right now. But I want to thank Ron for keeping this ball moving, because this is an important day for the city of Boston, and most importantly, it's an important day for the kids of our school district. Because 15 years from now, we're going to look back and see our young people being successful, and they're going to be the pioneers of universal pre-kindergarten in the city of Boston, and we're going to see the success of that. So again, I want to thank all the folks behind me who did anything to make this work. I want to thank the school department staff, the budget team. I want to thank the City of Boston's budget team, and I want to thank the press for covering it today. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Mayor Walsh. And I'd like to echo the dedication and thanks to our community-based organizations. Just so you know, an RFP has been released to create up to 450 seats this year, and you can find that on Combis. Awesome. At Boston Public Schools, we have been very fortunate to have Superintendent Laura Perille's leadership, both now and in our early thinking of how to create a mixed delivery system. One of my first meetings as a UPK director was with the school committee that helped me think even deeper about what a connection to the next experience means. How do we connect our systems both now and in the future? How do we leverage the resources inside of Boston Public Schools and outside? How do we make sure that we're hearing from our families consistently? And how do we, again, communicate our partnerships to the larger Boston community? Superintendent Laura Perille has consistently created the space, the opportunities, and the Boston Public School resources to develop this mixed delivery system. With her leadership, we are both well-informed and positioned to expand quality pre-K access. I'd like to welcome up Superintendent Laura Perille.
All right, I'd really like to be turning the other way so I too could enjoy the terrific image of the young children playing behind us, and maybe some grown-ups too. But good morning. I want to thank you all for being here today. The mayor did a tremendous job on the extraordinarily long list of thank yous to make this kind of investment in the future of our children and in the city happen. I do want to add one more. With an investment of this size, we relied on an extraordinarily creative finance team, both at the city and the Boston Public Schools, to structure this $15 million investment that the mayor just announced. So I want to give a shout out to the city CFO, Emma Handy, Budget Director Justin Sterrett, and the Boston Public Schools CFO, Eleanor Lawrence. The mayor mentioned that today is World Autism Day. It's why you see a lot of blue being worn. But it is really only fitting that we make this kind of wonderful announcement on a day when we take the time to celebrate the assets of all of our students. One of the reasons that Boston has such a successful pre-K model is that all of our classrooms are inclusive, which means that students of all backgrounds and abilities are learning together side by side, making connections, playing, and learning from one another at a very young age. It is our mission to meet students where they are, regardless of whether they have any type of disability, whether they're English learners new to this country, whether their families are struggling with poverty or face other kinds of obstacles. And as we work tirelessly to close opportunity and achievement gaps and shape the minds of young people to be inclusive and accepting of one another, it is so important that we start that young. And so that our focus on expanding the pre-K work here in Boston is truly groundbreaking. Mayor Walsh has been an enormous champion of this work. Like him, I also want to thank the community-based organizations who have joined in partnership with the Boston Public Schools to dramatically expand access while providing high-quality programming across the city, so that not only do we meet the children where they are in our classrooms, but we meet our families where they are in our communities. Whether a school-based setting or a community-based setting meets the needs of their families, that is the commitment that the mayor has made today and that we are all proud to stand behind. And it really should make us all proud that the city of Boston is all in when it comes to closing opportunity gaps for our youngest students. Our pre-K model incorporates play and tangible learning to stimulate the minds of our youngest students and get them interested in learning even more than the skills that will shape their development. And as our K-1 programming has expanded in BPS in recent years, word has gotten out about how great our programs are for kids. And so this collaboration between community-based organizations and the Boston Public Schools Early Childhood Department is an enormous opportunity to simultaneously partner with our leading community-based childcare programs to support their efforts to deepen and expand quality access alongside of BPS. It is this mixed delivery model that allows us to meet all of our families where they are and with what they need, whether it's a school or community-based program. And thanks to today's announcement, finding that right spot is going to get a whole lot easier. So one of the things that is most exciting is that as far as we have come since the mayor took office, in closing the quality gap from 1,500 to 750, we are now empowered to close that remaining gap within 5 years, again using this mixed delivery model. I look forward to working with all of you as we continue to make sure that all of our youngest learners are served in the most inclusive and effective manner possible, and that we hear across this city the kinds of sounds of joy and learning that we've been enjoying this morning. So thank you all.
Thank you, Superintendent, and I'd like to take a moment to thank Jason Sachs and our Early Childhood Department for all of their hard work, coaching, and professional development. It has truly paid off. I have to say that Cliff Kuong has not only served as an educator in our community-based organizations, but he also attended as a former student. Educators like Cliff inspire us every day, and after our families, the teachers are opposed to what children are learning and experiencing on a daily basis. One of the biggest benefits of our Quality UPK Fund is that our educators get to come together and share in a professional learning community. My favorite event each year is when the district teachers and the community-based organizations who share in the same curriculum come together and share the children's work. The ideas are flowing and the children's work is so inspiring. Whether it's through our UPK UMass Leadership course, to which Cliff is a course participant, or the use of our Focus on K-1 curriculum, we've been able to create a culture of collaborative learning. I'd like to welcome up Chris Kwong, the LS educator.
It's a real pleasure to be here in the presence of so many great people. The best possibilities are created when people such as us come together with an understanding of what truly matters. It's the bigger picture. I admire the mayor and BPS for their ability to envision our future with so much hope. Now, I grew up in the city of Boston. I was one of those kids. And I can tell you this, education was not nearly as sophisticated as it is today. Students are able to learn and grasp concepts such as thinking and feedback, which is as close to a college student or a high school student giving a presentation. But in this case, it's a PEG student or a UPK student presenting their own work and answering questions from their peers. For a young mind to receive such an opportunity at this age is setting their life up for success. Now, once there was a student who explained to his older sibling, to his mother, and faculty in the room what scholarships were. The meeting was actually for the older brother, for having too much potential and not trying as hard. And so a teacher had asked them, "Do you know what scholarships are?" The older brother shook his head. "No, I don't." The younger brother, who was a PEG student at the time, he raised his hand and he said, I do. I know what scholarships are." And he briefly explained to this meeting that scholarships were secret money. And it's secret money because you know about it if you're intelligent. And then they asked him, "Well, how do you obtain these scholarships?" And he says, "Every student who goes to school is smart. You're smart for going to school, but it's what you do at school that makes you intelligent." Now, although the student had some behavior challenges in the past, by implementing the BPS curriculum, multiple lessons had been taught to better prepare him for any life obstacle that would eventually come his way. We were able to create routines and structures that address those behavior challenges. And it's not just about getting their lives ready for next year, it's more so about getting them ready for life. What this curriculum has meant for community needs is very much intentional. Another time I was able to speak to a father of how his son had the ability to fly. Now, students can walk, students can run, students can climb mountains, but this student in particular could fly. The opportunities that BPS can give a student and their family is endless. It's not just hoping, but it's a ticket to a much better future. And this golden ticket is offered to all 4 or 5-year-olds. When giving the next generation an opportunity such as this, you give our city, our state, our country, and even our whole world a better chance at making it. BPS has changed the game of education, giving us hope as well as a higher probability of living in a better society. And when you ask yourself why is this so important? It's because if you look around, we were all those kids. So I want to give many thanks to Mr. Mayor Marty Walsh. Thank you, BPS. Thank you, Ellis Memorial. Thank you, Nurtury. And thank you, ABCD, for hosting us. Thank you.
Each time someone speaks, I just feel more and more inspired. Most importantly, children and families are at the center of our work. They're the reason why we're here today and the reason why we strive for high quality. The expectation that their child receives the same love, dedication, and care as they transition into schools is priority for Boston Public Schools and our community-based organizations. Strong, consistent engagement with the child's first teacher is at the foundation of our quality pre-K expansion, and families are our child's first teacher. As educators, we will continue to listen and learn from our families about what they need. Who better to tell us what matters, what quality looks like, or when we've reached success than our parents? So please let me introduce Cherokee Calderon, who through her program has seen the success with her own child.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cherokee, and I am a parent of Kylie and she's a student here at Walnut Grove. Being a first-time mom, I was extremely nervous and overprotective of my daughter. I would hear and watch her and watch horror stories in the news, so I decided that my child was just safer at home. I wanted to keep her home for as long as I could, but I knew that I had to sign her up someday. When she turned 4, that's when I made the decision. I applied for BPS. She didn't get a seat. Then I learned about the affiliation BPS had with ABCD, so I decided to apply at Walnut Grove, and it was the best decision that I've ever made, and regret not have done it sooner. I tried teaching my daughter her colors, numbers, etc., but being a full-time working mom, it was hard for us to do these little things. Since being at Walnut Grove, Kylie has learned so much. She knows how to write her name. She knows her letters. She knows the letters of both her parents' names. She counts to 20. She counts to 10 in Spanish, knows all her colors, and is even doing simple math using her fingers. Also, the partnership that BPS has with ABCD has helped us tremendously, and I'm happy to have had the opportunity for her to be in this program. It's helped my daughter get ready for school. It's also allowed my daughter and me to be full partners in this education process. I get to bring her into her classroom where I can sit down with her, enjoy breakfast. I can communicate closely with her teachers instead of just dropping her off in an open schoolyard. It also has allowed me to have the opportunity to understand and get knowledge and experience on going through the process of obtaining an IEP. And in just 7 months, it has helped my shy child turn into a little social butterfly. We've had the best of both worlds here at Walnut Grove. It's a great curriculum with committed teachers, amazing Head Start services. Again, I am extremely thankful for the staff here at Walnut Grove. Crystal, thank you so much for helping us through this process. I'm always going to be grateful for my daughter attending ABCD. Thanks.
Thank you again, Cherokee, and thank you for all of our speakers. What a great way to close out our speaking program than with Ron Dorsey, the former Chief of Education for the City of Boston. As the Mayor vindicated, Ron saying is no wrong door. It's a phrase that we often use to point out that families deserve high quality, whether it's in our community-based organizations or in Boston Public Schools. His dedication and understanding of the early education field continues as he serves on our active selection committee and advisory board. Please join me in welcoming Ron Dorsey.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So one thing that I've discovered since I left government is that I cannot see. So I will be donning glasses for probably the first time in my life. All right, that's better. Good morning. First of all, I want to say a number of thank yous to people, certainly to Mayor Walsh. Mayor, it was an honor to serve in the cabinet and certainly one of the highlights of my life, so thank you for the opportunity. Certainly to Superintendent Perille and to Superintendent Chang as well, who were both huge supporters of the work to get us to universal pre-K. To the leadership at Boston Public Schools and City Hall, in particular Tiara Dias and Jason Sachs, without whom this cannot be done and with whom you will see the flourishing of UPK in the city of Boston. Also to Dave Sweeney, Emma Handy, and Joyce Linehan, who each knew every time I knocked on the door, the probability was that I was coming to ask for money for UPK. And so thanks to their partnership, we've gotten it done. There were, in fact, 3 advisory committees, including the standing advisory for UPK, and many of the folks who served on those advisory committees are in the crowd. If you served on an advisory committee, just raise your hand for folks so that they can recognize you. Thank you very much for your service and a lot of the long meetings that the mayor talked about as well. I also want to give a shout out to Commissioner Tom Weber, Anita Moeller, and Jocelyn Brown at Mass EEC for their partnership and their guidance as we try to design this system as well. Shout out goes out to United Way of Mass Bay and Merrimack Valley and the Barr Foundation, who supported much of the design and systems work. If we can give them a quick round of applause. A couple of additional shout outs because I think we overlook them sometimes. There were a small group of people who really got this process off the ground and really preceded me in the process. Jane Tewksbury, Laney First, and Andrew Bundy, who were the initial facilitators for that first advisory group. I don't think that they're here, but if you're out there in TV land, know that we did acknowledge you and really thank you for the work that you've done for us. Much of what needs to be said about UPK has been said, but I do want to stress a few things for you about why this announcement is particularly important. So first of all, this is really about making an investment in perhaps the surest bet you can make in education, and that is in early education and in children. Boston's record Thank you. Boston's record really does speak for itself. If you go back to 2005 or so, we began proving our ability to make sure that every child can get off to the right start and in accelerated fashion, making sure that we could close skill gaps that we see as early as 2 years old. BPS K1 has proven to be the closest thing that we have to an inoculation against lost opportunity and backsliding from an educational standpoint. We also proved that it doesn't matter what the setting. We've got the right technology to install in the setting. So we've been doing this in classrooms at the Trotter. We've been doing it here at ABCD, Nursery, or wherever else. From kids to the pre-K expansion grant program, we really have been building a network of open doors for families and children to make sure that they have access to high quality education. As Sharon and a couple of others said, this is also an opportunity for us to address workforce disparities in early learning, to make sure that we are investing in the educations of educators and to make sure that they are paid equally for the tremendous work that they do wherever they are doing their work. Today's announcement also is a shift for Boston, I think, to a more holistic view of education. So first of all, we are knitting together the city's educational assets. It's not about whether it happens in a classroom, a traditional school classroom, or a community-based setting. And in fact, the fragmentation and some of the arbitrary lines that distinguish those things are frustrating to parents. We need to make sure that all doors are the same door to opportunity, and knitting together the assets of the city has helped us in that way. We are also taking a step closer to making sure that there is a seamless birth to career system in Boston, that early education talks to K-12 and vice versa, and K-12 begins to talk to higher ed and vice versa. We spent a lot of time thinking about how we make sure that all early learning settings are connected to the BPS assignment system, which we will continue working on over time, that we are sharing data about students and making sure curriculum is well aligned from all pre-K settings into the school setting. If students are ready for kindergarten entering the school building, we will see transformative results over the course of their career in K-12 as well. So I am proud that we have reached this moment, but it really has taken a community of leaders to reach this moment, and I want to thank you all again. To close, I do want to say a special thank you to the children and the families of Boston who have been very patient with us. There have been a lot of people working with a great sense of urgency to get us to this moment today, but sometimes we were not always working at the pace that families required. But we are here to tell you that we are here and we are operating at the scale that we have long imagined and that you have demanded from us. So this is a momentous occasion in the city of Boston. My last request is that the press help us with a couple of things. So when we talk about high quality, we want to make sure that Boston understands what high quality is, because we want families to be equipped consumers and we want them to be accountability partners with providers. So first of all, we are talking about well-trained teachers. We are talking about teachers who make good money, and they all make the same good money. They use evidence-based curriculum. They are serious about family engagement. They're using data for continuous improvement, and they are meeting the state standards for accreditation and quality. If you can help us spread the word that every provider should be living up to that and that every family should be looking for that, we will accelerate the process by which we get every child ready in Boston. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Ron. I want to take a moment to thank the mayor again. You continually work to bring quality pre-K. I want to thank the 30-plus members of the 24 UPK Advisory Committee and the families who helped to create these recommendations. I also want to highlight again Ann Douglas and our family engagement partners, like our Boston Family Engagement Network, who focus on raising awareness and importance of family engagement. They have and will continue to be an invaluable partner. And I want to thank you all for being with us today. Boston's approach, not only to expand quality pre-K in the city, can be a model for other communities across this state. Again, I am so excited and feel honored to be a part of this work. For community-based programs who are interested in the RFP, feel free to visit Combis. And for our families who are interested in a quality pre-K space, you can go to www.bostonpublicschools.com/UPK. Thank you again for joining us. The mayor's going to take a brief tour, and it is kind of close to lunchtime, so if there are other members who are interested in touring, please just let me know, and we can see if we can arrange that as well. Thank you.